What's up, guys? Sci-Fi Guy 2094 here. I just finished Troy, the director's cut, on Blu-ray, and I'm going to do a quick review on this movie. Now, obviously, I'm late to the party. This movie came out back in 2004. I believe this version came out in 2007. So, this is the full version. It's over 3 hours. It's got the entire director's vision, deleted scenes, everything. They can't put this stuff in the movie for theaters because the theaters want more showings, and so they can't do long movies. So, directors have to, every once in a while, come out with their own cut of the film, and they can let their fans see the entire movie the way they intended it. Lots of directors do this. Zack Snyder, I believe, Christopher Nolan probably has some movies like that where it's the director's cut. I think James Cameron eventually is going to want to release some director's cut of the Avatar movies. But anyway, gonna talk about this real fast. You guys have seen it. You know what happens. So, I hadn't seen this movie. Like I said, back in the day, this was always on FX, back when cable was kind of popular. I was like, okay, Troy, Brad Pitt, okay, yeah. I'd always, seen... I would flip through the channels, maybe I'd see it, or when the TV Guide was, like, channel 16 or whatever, I'd go to TV Guide and I see Troy. I was like, yeah, I always knew what Troy was. Never watched it. I really missed out back then, because, man, oh man, is this good. This movie is fantastic from start to finish. So, basically... the king Agamemnon. I cannot pronounce this guy's name, but this king is basically trying to bring all the other kingdoms under Greece's rule. He pretty much succeeds in that, except for Troy. Troy is kind of like a little bit defiant, but the straw that breaks the camel's back is when King Agamemnon's brother, his wife is Helena Troy, or rather Helena Sparta. She's not Helena Troy yet, right? So she's Helena Sparta, and the Trojans who have been fighting with, King Agamemnon's brother and the other people of Greece. So Eric Bana, who plays he plays Hector, and Orlando Bloom plays his brother. So his brother, Orlando Bloom, steals Helen away. So they go back to Troy, and then once the king finds out, he's like, okay, we need to launch an assault on Troy, right? To get Helen back. So, and then we all know how everything else plays out. They go to war because they want Helen back, and Helen is like, I just need to go back, and I'll take whatever punishment. I don't care. I'll be a slave. He can kill me, whatever. I just don't want any more people to die from me. But they're just like, no, you're part of Troy now, and they're like, hey, you need to stay here. And they're basically like, hey, well, King Agamemnon is not going to stop his assault over one woman. This is about power. It's not about his brother's ego that his wife got stolen away. So anyway, just throughout this movie, we have, again, it's romance, action, drama, and yeah, it's everything you'd expect out of a Greek epic. This is a very good movie. I just love the choreography. The war scenes are really, really good. All the battle scenes with the arrows, the spears, the hand-to-hand combat, the riding of the horses, everything is so good. The leads are great. Of course, Brad Pitt is awesome in this. Eric Bana is great, and so is Orlando Bloom. I believe the actress that plays Helen is Diane Kruger. So everyone does a fantastic job. And most of the time, I'm rooting for the Trojans, because it's like, well, the Trojans are just like they're kind of defiant. They want to protect their own homeland, and they don't want to just fall under the rule of King Agamemnon. So I'm like, okay, yeah, like I'm with the Trojans because I like Eric Bana. He's Hector in this movie, and he's just like, yeah, he commands the army, right? He's the prince, but he doesn't want to go to war unnecessarily. Like he loves the people of Troy, the land. He just loves his people, right? He doesn't want these people dying over some woman. So that's why initially he was like, okay, we gotta turn the ship around. Because when Helen was on the ship, because his brother brought her along, he was like, oh, hell no. Yeah, we got to turn around. But eventually, you know, he convinced his brother that he really loves her. And he was a little bit hesitant because he's like, yeah, what do you even know? Love or war and fighting. But anyway, they get back to the city. Yeah, she becomes part of the city and all that stuff. And whew, man, oh man. Once the Greek armies arrive to retrieve Helen, all hell just breaks loose. There's a couple, they land on the beach. They have a couple different skirmishes along the beach. And then there's an instance when Achilles' cousin, he kind of rallies the troops, because their morale is low. He goes into battle, but unfortunately, he's killed by Hector, played by Eric Bana. And, well, Hector thought it was Achilles, right? Because he had on the armor and everything. So then, Achilles, Brad Pitt, he wants revenge on Hector for killing his little cousin. And I'm just thinking, dude, this is a war, right? Like, people die in war. I don't see how you can, like, seek vengeance and things like that. But, I had a bad feeling Eric Bana was going to die in this movie. I had a really bad feeling. He was just too good of a man, So unfortunately, Brad Pitt kills Eric Bana in this movie. But, wow. I just gotta say, wow. Again, this movie is so good. I can't believe I'm just now getting around to watching this. But yeah, it's so good. I love everything in this movie, the dynamics. There's a little bit of politics in this. You have the king of Troy who has these advisors that are kind of like spiritual people, and he believes them because they're kind of like seers, meaning like they can tell the future or whatever. And some of them have been pretty accurate. So the king, like, he doesn't necessarily want to fight unless it's necessary. But then there's these council members that are like, hey, we should do this. And he's like, well, there was this drought like several years ago, and you were right about that. We had enough water, so I need to believe this guy. And then he also believes the gods will protect him and things, because he tells this story about when Hector was a baby and he had some type of fever, and he went down to Apollo's temple and prayed all night. And then in the morning, Eric Bana was fine. He didn't die from the fever. So from that moment on, he said he would put his faith in the gods. So you have a king who, the king of Troy he's a pretty decent man. I feel like he's a good king. And of course, the prince is good, Hector. Now, the only person, see, Orlando Bloom is the one who caused all of this to happen, because he couldn't stop chasing tail. That's the whole reason this happened. Like, if you would have there could have been any other girl, man. Just don't mess with Helen. If he would have stayed away from Helen, this could have all been avoided. Just being honest. So at first, I didn't really like him, because I'm like, okay, dude, not to F things up. Like, your brother told you not to F things up by going after that dude's wife, but you did it anyway. But then as the story progresses, I kind of see, okay, this guy, he thinks he's in love. I can respect that. And he's like, man to man, he wants to fight the dude over Helen. And then that'll settle it. If he wins, he gets to keep Helen. And, the Greeks have to go back. But if Helen's husband wins, then obviously he can have her, and they will come under the king's rule, the King Agamemnon. So unfortunately, he loses the fight, and it was supposed to be one-on-one combat. He crawls to his brother Hector, but unfortunately, Hector has to kill the guy because he's like, this is my brother, like I have to. So he violates the pact of one-on-one combat. That's when the siege starts, and again, just all these battles. So anyway, I kind of jumped around a little bit in this review, but there's a lot going on. I'm trying to stay focused on one thing, but man, there's so much going on in this movie. Easy to follow, pretty easy to follow. It's pretty linear in terms of how the plot progresses and moves on. There's just a lot of different characters. You see both sides. You see the Greek army side. You see Achilles and, his disposition with just, being this person who just fights. That's all he does is fight. He kind of, he wants the glory. Yes, that's kind of why he enters the war. But then we see a softer side of him where, he kind of falls in love with this slave Trojan girl. And eventually he kind of goes to save her. But I was rooting for the Trojans, man. They're just wanting to protect their homeland, their people. And these crazy Greeks come and they attack. So, but you do see both sides. You do see both sides of the armies and their rulers. Obviously, King Agamemnon just wants power. Whereas the king of Troy, he's like, yeah, I'll go to war, but just to protect my people. He just wants prosperity and peace for his people, the people of Troy. So, you do get to see both sides of this conflict. And I like that they focus on both armies and both, because you could see each side being a protagonist and you could see each side being an antagonist. That's what's great about this. You actually get the perspectives of the Trojans and the Greeks. So, anyway, I can't say enough good things about this movie. It is hard to give a movie a perfect score, but I give this movie a 10 out of 10 for the director's cut. This is just absolutely phenomenal. It's fantastic. It's exhilarating. It is absolutely incredible. If you have not seen the director's cut, but you've seen the original version, you need to watch this version. This is the definitive version. I have nothing to compare it to because I haven't seen the original version. But to me, this is a solid 10 out of 10. You have to watch this. And I am even that more excited for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey after watching Troy. So I will be in that theater this weekend, and I cannot wait to watch that movie and give my review.